Okay, we are exactly on time. Without any further delay, I would like to begin the lecture for today. Okay. Good morning once again, and welcome you back again in the second week of the economics lecture. And then I apologize for not being showing up myself yesterday because of some emergency meeting. Okay, so it wasn't planned, but I got an email in my inbox that okay, I need to have discussions with the Gandaki province ministry as well as the Gandaki university. So it was an important meeting, so that's why I could not object on that. So that's why I was there, and then I already conveyed that message to Srishti, as she was there to raise some issues. Okay, so we are already behind. Okay, so we need to finish that in a time. So yeah, okay. So we are also quite aware on that. Okay, so we are trying our best, but from the online instructions medium, the lecture is being a little bit slow. You all have to acknowledge on that also. So what am I doing is that I'm taking a lot of time for your topics. So that's why it is also one of the reasons why I'm being a little bit late. And the compensation lecture for your yesterday Sunday will be on Wednesday, as I already informed you. I don't know whether you all are well known with that or not. So it means that we are having our lecture on Wednesday also. Okay. So today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and from Thursday onwards, Kedar sir will be there to pick up your remaining lectures, and he will take the lectures for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I will be again coming, and I will be again switching myself inside your lecture to give some, or to give the remaining lectures on my part. That is all what I have to say to you. So today's topic is price discrimination, as you can see in the slides. Okay, so we will be explaining about what is that price discrimination, and then we will also see the examples of the price discrimination. So we will also try to figure out some questions. Okay, is that price discriminations? Okay, when we are doing the price discriminations, the what happens to the consumers? Okay, so consumers might get benefit if price discriminations was not there. You might be coming up with the questions on yourself by yourself. Okay, like price discriminations, to put it in very simple terms, is it's like charging different prices for the same category of the goods and services. Okay, so when there are three different customers coming to the buyers, and at that time the buyers is sorry at the sellers is selling the same commodity. Let's say 1 kilo of sugar. So 1 kilo of sugar is being sold to consumer A, consumer B, consumer C, or customer A, customer B, and customer C. So what would be the explanations, possible explanations from this price discriminations? It would be like, okay, if the price of the sugar per kilo is 80 rupees, and then you would charge 80 rupees for customer A. So moving towards the customer B, you would charge 85 rupees. So moving towards the customer C, you would charge 75 rupees for the same kilo of sugar. So if there was any differences in the product, quality or the quantity, then there would not be the price discriminations. But even if our quality is same, even if our quantity is same, or even if our volume of our commodity or the goods and services is same, we would charge the different prices for that particular goods and services. That is what your price discriminations is all about. So we will see the definitions of price discriminations in greater detail again, and we will also see an example of what could be the possible example of price discriminations that is already happening in our surroundings. So we will also see one practical example from going into the movie theater at 9:12 so early in the morning, and then you would get a discount for students when you go and take a ticket or reserve your ticket for yourself in the early morning show. You would get 50% discount. So if someone might be going to the same show, they would have to pay 100% for that ticket. So this is also one form of price discrimination. Okay, just like that. Okay, senior citizens. Okay, when senior citizens are traveling into the airlines, they have to pay, okay, let's say a little bit lesser amount than that of the other citizens when they fly in the same flight. This is also price discrimination. So we will see what happens. Is price discrimination really a good or a bad thing? we will try to figure out, we will try to crack down these questions, and we will also track down the questions that, okay, what would happen if there was no any price discriminations. Let's say if the cost of any goods and services for any commodities would be same, so there will be the fair distribution of that cost, that goods and services, or the cost of the goods and services for every customers would be same. That would be the good thing. Okay, so is it a good thing that, okay, when you are charging the same prices to the different categories of the customers? So this would be the next questions also. Okay, and the next questions would be that, okay, now I got to know the meaning of price discriminations. Now when should I apply that price discrimination? Okay, so there are some conditions that needs to be fulfilled when price discriminations needs to be applied. So we will see that conditions also, and we will see some other examples also, and later on we will see the different kinds of price discriminations that has been already noticed by us. Okay, and at the end, we will see about the different degrees. The first degree of price discrimination, the second degree of price discrimination, and the third degree of price discriminations. And we will also see those degrees from the graphical approaches. Okay, we will see what happens to our consumer surplus when there is the first category, first degree of price discriminations. In fact, before that, we will see what is first degree of price discriminations. And second, we will see what is second degree of price discrimination, and we will try to define what is the third degree of price discriminations. This is what we are going to study for today. Okay, now before moving towards that, I would like to have your attention towards the differences between the perfect competition and monopoly. So now I already explained you when I was in the class, okay, what sort of market is called perfect competition market and what sort of market is called monopoly market. And you have already done that numerous times when you were in the first semester also. Okay, so now recall quickly about the perfect competition market and the monopoly market. So okay, in perfect competition market, there are a large number of buyers and large number of sellers. Okay, anyone can come in and anyone can go out. There are no any barriers, and it's like, there is the concept of the firms and industry, and firm is the one who are the price taker, and industry is the one who are the price maker in case of the perfect competition. And in perfect competition, the goods sold are homogeneous. It means that the quality and they are the same. There is the absence of the transportation cost. There is the absence of the selling cost, and so on. And the basic objectives of the firms in operating in the perfect competition market is they are there to maximize their profits. So these are some of the characters that falls under the perfect competition market. So in case of the monopoly market, it's like, there is only one seller and large number of buyers. So here, since there is only one seller in the market and large number of buyers in the market, now what can that one seller do? That one seller will have the exclusive control of the entire market. He or she can have the market power on his or her hand. So it means that if I do have the market power, or if I can control the entire market, because I am a monopolist, then I can set the prices of the goods and services of my commodity at whatever the prices that I am willing to sell. I would say 50 rupees for this. Okay, so you cannot come and then you cannot say that, okay, no, 40 rupees. No, you cannot say that. Okay, so it's like this is, you can still say, because you as a buyer, you as a buyers, you can say that, you can do the bargaining, and then you can say, okay, please give me in 40 rupees. You can say that. But since I am already a monopoly, I know that there are no any other suppliers of the same commodity, so I would say that I would stick with my 50 rupees. Why would I go down for 40 rupees if I'm getting 50 rupees? So I would say, no, I cannot give that at 40 rupees. Rather, I would not prefer to sell this commodity to you. This would be my answer. Okay, so now in case of the price discriminations also, now one question is coming in your mind that, okay, in which sort of market category does this price discriminations operate in? So since we don't have the control in since we don't have the control, or since the sellers, they don't have the control in the perfect competition market, so they cannot do the price discriminations in this market. What happens when they are trying to do the discriminations of the price in the market? because now when they are trying to do the price discrimination in the market, and then if I'm a buyer, then if I feel that okay, he is trying to charge more for the same commodity, I would rather go to the next seller, because I know that there are other sellers in the market also. So that's why price discriminations cannot operate in perfect competition market. But in case of the monopoly market, since I am the only seller, and then if you approach to me, and then okay, I can say that okay, three customers are approaching to me, and I'm the sellers, and I can say okay, 30 rupees for you, 40 rupees for you, and 50 rupees for you. I can say that because this is because of the reasons that I do have the exclusive control over the market. And how can I do that? So how can I do that will be the topic that we are going to see here. How can I, or how am I going to say that okay, 30 rupees for customer A, 40 rupees for customer B, and 50 rupees for customer C? How can I say that? That is what we are going to see here. There are some criteria that must be fulfilled, then only we can have the higher prices or the lower prices for any sorts of the customer in the market. Okay, this is what we are going to see here. So always have in your mind that okay, your price discriminations operates only in monopoly market but not in perfect competition market. So if I would ask you, why would this price discriminations not operate in the perfect competition market, it's like it is because see, buyers they do have the perfect knowledge of the market conditions in the perfect competition, and if the seller tries to charge different prices, which is our price discrimination, now, the buyers will refuse to purchase the good and move to the next seller. This is why we cannot operate or we cannot implement the price discriminations in case of the perfect competition market. And we are the firm operating in the industry, and we know that the differences between firm and industry. Okay, this is very good. This is very important one. Okay, the differences between firm and industry. You need to have that. Okay, firm and industry, what are they called? Okay, so you need to have that information already. Now you should be also having the extra information that okay, in perfect competition market, firm is the price taker and the industry is the price maker. Price taker and the price maker means industry sets the price of the commodity. Okay, just like that. Okay, if the industry sets the price of any goods and services, then they are the price maker because they have made the price of that commodity. So now with that price, if I agree to do the business transactions in the price that has been fixed by the industry, it means that I am a firm, so I am the price taker because I have taken the price that has been fixed by the price maker, that is industry. This is why price discriminations cannot be operated in perfect competition market. Having said that, now price discriminations is possible only in case of the monopoly. I already told you. So in monopoly, a monopolist is the sole seller of the product, and thus he or she can exploit the market conditions for own benefit. If I'm the only seller, then I would say that okay, 50 rupees it was the price yesterday, now today is 100. Okay, because I'm the only seller. And if the demand, if I feel that okay, the demand is still going more, I would come up with the next price day after tomorrow. I would say 150 rupees now, because I have the exclusive control over that particular goods and services in the market because I am a monopolist. So now it is like okay, now they can charge different prices for the product from different customers, and they does it in order to have the profitable business. So someone might be wondering, okay, the price of the same goods and services is 20 rupees for customer A and it is 10 rupees for customer B. You would imagine that okay, if the customer B would also be charged with 20 rupees, then it would be like they would have get more revenue. That is true, but sometimes it's like it will be quite profitable for your monopolist business if you do the price discriminations. For instance, okay, I already told you some informations before. Okay, so if I want to capture the new market, I would go with the strategy of the price discrimination. Okay, let's say Narayangarh is one market that is already in my control, and if the price of the strawberry that I'm supplying to the Narayangarh market is 700 rupees per kilo, so now if I want to expand my market, and then if I want to take the entire market of, if I want to take the control of entire Hetauda market, now I have to slowly penetrate into that market. Now what would be my strategy? Now I would go into that market and then I would say 600 rupees for you. This is price discrimination. So price discrimination is like, if you do have the bulk production, so, and if you know that, okay, all of your productions is not going to be, sold, is not going to be consumed in your Narayan market, and then at that time you need to expand your market. So in order to expand your market, you would rather reduce the price of that commodity and then sell, or sell every those excess commodities in the new market. So this is also one strategies that why price discrimination is a good thing. Okay, so one might be wondering that, okay, price discriminations, मूल्यमा भेदभाव गर्नु भनेको चाहिँ इट्स लाइक, ओके, यो कसरी चाहिँ राम्रो कुरा हुन सक्छ त, यो नराम्रो कुरा हुने रहेछ, नराम्रो कुरा पनि हुन्छ। जसले चाहिँ म्याक्सिमम पैसा तिर्यो उसलाई चाहिँ कम पैसा तिरेकोसँग कम्पेयर गर्दाखेरि त the satisfaction that the customers who paid more will be little bit, they will feel something else. Okay, सेम टिकटलाई मैले चाहिँ फिल्म हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले 100 रुपैयाँ तिरे, तिमी त 20 रुपैयाँमा पायो, there will be some uncomfortableness inside you. So price discriminations is not always wrong. Sometimes, the strategy of price discriminations would be very good when we see from the perspective of the sellers also. अनि कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ फेरि अब तीनटा क्याटेगोरी चाहिँ प्राइस एउटै कमोडिटीलाई चार्ज गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कन्ज्युमर ए, कन्ज्युमर बी र कन्ज्युमर सी मध्येको चाहिँ कन्ज्युमर ए चाहिँ गरिब छ, कन्ज्युमर बी चाहिँ मिडियम क्लासको छ र कन्ज्युमर सी चाहिँ एकदमै हाई क्लासको छ भने चाहिँ कन्ज्युमर ए जुन चाहिँ जसले चाहिँ हाई अथवा चाहिँ एउटै प्राइस चाहिँ त्यो कमोडिटीमा राख्दाखेरि चाहिँ यदि उसले एफोर्ड गर्न नसक्ने कन्डिसनहरू हुन सक्थ्यो भने आफ्टर दिस प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन्स, now those poorer category of the groups will also be able to grab that, goods and services. This will be also the next advantage. So pros and cons are obviously आफ्नो ठाउँमा चाहिँ price discriminations को चाहिँ, but we cannot always say that, okay, price discriminations is a bad thing. Okay, so see electricity bill, okay, what is happening here? When we see the electricity bill, the price that we are paying per and per unit of electricity when we use the electricity for the home consumption is more. But if the same electricity is being used for the agricultural purposes, then we get the subsidy for that. That is also your price discrimination. So the electricity that has been used for the industrial purposes will also be lesser than that of the home consumption bill. Okay, so there will be some differences in the electricity bill for the home consumption, the electricity bill for your industrial purposes, and the electricity bill for the agricultural purposes. So all of them are also examples of the price discrimination. This is what we are going to study here. So now, by now, you should be able to know that, okay, definitions of the price discriminations and in which of the market is price discriminations operating. That is a monopoly market. Okay, this will be like a multiple choice question for you. Okay, and and there will be also like, so is price discrimination a good thing, a bad thing, or what? So I might ask you questions in that direction. Okay, I might not ask you what is price discriminations explain. Okay, I might ask you, okay, is price discrimination a good thing or a bad thing? Explain. Now you have to be based on the explanations that I'm going to do here, and then try to come up with the logical, conclusions that, okay, this is the reason why price discrimination is a good thing, and this is the reasons why price discrimination is a bad thing. This would be your conclusions. Okay, this will be like, the mixture of the good and the bad thing. Pros and cons are always there. So what is price discriminations actually then? I already told you, it's like charging a different price to the different groups of people for the same goods and services. Like take an example. Okay, I want to give a very practical example of myself. Okay, so if I do deliver lecture at the government colleges, let's say, okay, to put it in a very simple, I would rather get a lesser amount, but the same delivery of the lectures in the private colleges would fetch me more. This is also a kind of price discrimination. Okay, so in case of the agricultural activities also, okay, like, we are paying lesser amount for the women labor and the higher amount for the, male labor. This is also price discrimination. Though the labor or the, the quality of the labor between the male and female, they are going to be same, we are going to give the different amount of the labor wage for those people who are working and based on their gender. So this is also a type of the price discrimination. Okay, so now see in practices what how is this price discriminations operating. This price discriminations is entirely based on the seller's belief that okay, what do sellers believe that okay, they believe that okay, consumers in certain groups can be asked to pay more. They know that okay, there are some groups of the consumers who can pay more and who can pay less, and based on that, based on that belief, they would charge the different prices for the same category of the goods and services. Okay, there is the Amrapali mango. The cost of Amrapali mango is 20 rupees per kilo. Okay, if poor people is approaching there, 18 rupees for you, and if the richer people is approaching there, 25 rupees for you. Okay, and if the medium class people is approaching to have a kilo of Amrapali, then 20 rupees for you. This is price discrimination. So if there was no price discrimination, then what would be the situations? The category of the people who falls under the poor may not have that advantage of consuming that Amrapali. This is why price discrimination is important. Okay. Now see the student discount that you get when you go to see a movie at 9 to 12 early morning show at Saturday. Why are the theater coming up with such strategy? Okay, so they know that students are free in Saturday and they are not free in the other weekdays, and they also know that 9 to 12 a.m. is not a best time to watch a movie, because when we do the consumer preferences, then we would get that okay, the result would be like the consumer would prefer to watch movie at the daytime or in the night show. But if we give some discount tickets to the students, or if we offer some discounts to those category of the consumers, then they would rush to the movie theater even if it is playing the movie at early morning. So by doing this, what is that theater doing? They are increasing their revenue. Okay, if there were no any strategies to come up with a discount for those students, then students would not show up and go to the ticket counter and then buy that ticket for 100% charge at early in the morning. They know that. So that's why in order to utilize that time, they come up with the strategy of the student discount. Okay, so that more number of students is coming into the theater, and then they are having the marginal benefit for each ticket sold. Okay, just like airlines tickets also, when we buy airline tickets 3 months before, when we make a vacation, then you would get the airline ticket at a reasonable price. So now if you are planning to go in a vacation abruptly, let's say next week or tomorrow, and then when you see the tickets, the same tickets that person X purchased 3 months before will be lesser than that of the price of the tickets that now you are buying. This is price discrimination. So now if the airline sees that okay, if the airlines, the ticket controlling center of the airline sees that okay, there is no any or there is no any increasement in the demand of the tickets of this particular flight, then what would they do? Now they would again come up with the next strategy, and they would say that okay, they would charge the tickets at a lesser price. This is price discrimination. And ticket for the concert also. When you go to the city, see the tickets, you would have to pay $100 if we book in quite before. So now if we go instantly to see the concert, and then if you purchase ticket, you would have to pay more than $100. This is also price discrimination. So these are some practical examples of the price discriminations, and we will see the next or further more explanations into that. But before that, let me explain to you about the price diversity. Now we came to know that okay, price discriminations is like offering the same quality of the commodity at the different prices. But sometimes it can happen that okay, you as a seller, you need to bring some slight differences in your products and offer the different charges to the different category of the consumers. Okay, this is also called price versioning. What have we done here? We have offer slightly different products as a way to discriminate between consumers' ability to pay. So some category of consumers are able to pay okay, higher amount for organic coffee, but in case of the next category with the fair trade coffee, the other consumers are willing to pay and ability to pay for the fair trade coffee. So if we do the slight differences in our product, okay, the quality of the product, then we can also discriminate between the consumer's ability to pay, and this is what we call price versioning. Okay, first class ticket and the second class tickets in the railways or in your airlines also, and the business class ticket or the economy class ticket in your the international flight. Okay, when we are traveling from Nepalgons to, okay, let's say Kathmandu, sometimes you can, the regular price of the ticket is 10,000, it's around 10,000. Okay, but now when we travel, okay, sometimes we can get, okay, the same tickets in the same flight at 3,000 or only 3,500 also, and some category of the ticket would cost you 6,000. And at the end, if the airline says that, okay, there is a huge demand of the tickets for the flight tomorrow that is flying from Nepalganj to Kathmandu, then what would they do? They would immediately swipe off all those discount tickets, and then they would offer at the regular tickets. This is price price discrimination. Okay, even if you are having the same services, even when you are taking 3,500 tickets from Nepalganj to Kathmandu, the air hostess or the crew members, they are not going to give you, they are not going to treat you differently. They will in fact treat you in the same manner that they will be treating to those purchasers of the tickets who have paid 10,000 rupees also. Okay, this is price discriminations. But in case of the international flight, okay, when you decide to go with the business class ticket, and then when you decide to go with the economy class ticket, then you know the services may not be same, because in case of the business class ticket, what would you get? The advantages will be more. You can have an ample area to sleep also, you can get a bed also. Okay, the leg space will be more, and then the services or the drinks and the foods is available every half an hour in case of the business class. But this will not be the case when you are in the economy class. So this is price versioning, because the airlines has come up with a strategy that, okay, they want to discriminate between the consumer's ability to pay by how they have slightly differ their products quality. Okay, the quality in case of the business class and quality in case of the economy class. This is what your price versioning is. Now, after this slide, I will give you time to ask questions. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, is price discrimination an illegal act then? Okay, what would be your explanations? And sometimes you might be coming up with the questions that, okay, wouldn't consumers be better off if everyone paid the same price? Okay, so imagine the same product. If the regular ticket is 13,000, and then what would be the situation, okay, if the every consumer is paying 10,000? So those consumers who are not being able to afford that 10,000s will never get a chance to fly in that flight. So it's like when airlines come up with a strategy of price discriminations, offering the same flight ticket at 3,500, okay, then those who are not able to afford the ticket price at 10,000 rupees, and who are able to afford that ticket price at 3,500 rupees, there will be the consumer benefit to those consumers who are not able to afford that ticket. So if it was 10,000 rupees, so see what will be the advantage. Okay, obviously there is the discriminations of the price for those category of the consumers who paid the regular price, that is 10,000, but it is a big advantages to those who cannot afford that. Okay, so one might ask or come up with the questions that, okay, when can firm apply price discrimination then? So I already told you that, okay, in order to have your price discriminations, okay, you need to be in the monopoly market. So that's why you need to have the exclusive control over the market, and then exclusive control on the market is only possible when we are in the monopoly. So this is the first case, and the second case is like, if the firm has identified that, okay, there is differences in the demand based on the different customer segments. Let's say the demand for the student for the theater ticket is low because they have the low income. Okay, if they come up with such demand differences, then they come up with the strategy of the price discriminations, and then they come up with the solutions that, okay, 50% discount to the students if they come up with the student ID card. Okay, so that's why in this condition also we can do the price discrimination. So the other one is like, price discrimination, or the firm can apply the price discriminations if the firm have an ability to protect its product from being resold by one consumer group to the another. If they can have that ability to protect their product, let's say if I am the one to purchase the commodity from person A, and then if I purchase that commodity from person A, and then if I resold it to the next category of the consumers, then at that time price discriminations cannot be applied. So if the firm has assured that, okay, my product is now not being able to resold by the consumers who are coming to us and then buying. Okay, so if we have that assurance, then we can apply that price discrimination. So these are the three important conditions that needs to be fulfilled if the firm wants to apply the price discriminations of the goods and services. Any questions up to here? Okay, 49. Yes.
That last one of foreign form can apply that once again.
Yeah. Okay. So see here. The last point is that, you you mean to say the conditions of price discrimination? Okay. So it's like that, you need to have an assurance to your product that, if someone is coming to you and then if they bought that goods and services from you, and then they are the one to use that commodity. Okay, if you are, if you have that assurance, then only price discriminations can be applied. Or if you feel that, I don't know whether that consumer coming to me and then having these goods and services at the price or at a different price is going to again sell that commodity to someone else or not, if you are not sure, then your price discriminations applications formula or strategies would not be satisfied. Okay, so in order to have your price discriminations, okay, the three important conditions that needs to be fulfilled is that there should be monopoly market, that is there is sufficient market power. Okay, you have the exclusive control on the market. The next one is, the demand, differences in the demand based on the different category of the consumers. And then if you feel that, there is differences, गरिबले लिन सकेन, धनीले लिइरहेको छ भयो भने के हुन्छ, गरिबले लिन सकेन भने के हुन्छ, गरिबले त्यो त्यो एडभान्टेजेस त कहिले लिनै सकेन, अनि धनीले चाहिँ के गर्न सक्ने भयो त, होल्ड गर्न सक्ने भयो, होल्ड भनेको एकोमुलेसन गर्न सक्ने भयो. सो त्यस्तो खालको चाहिँ सिचुएसनहरू एभोइड गर्नको लागि पनि प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन इज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट. सो इफ यु फिल द्याट, गरिबले त कहिले फिल्म हेर्नै नसक्ने भयो त 500 रुपियाँमा, धनीले मात्रै फिल्म हेर्न सक्ने भयो त, if the movie theater operators they feel the differences, then they can apply price discriminations at that particular time. गरिबहरू कोही आउँछ भने गरिबको कार्ड देखायो भने 150 रुपियाँ or 50 रुपिस or के हुन सक्छ, कति प्राइस हुन सक्छ भन्ने कुरो त प्राइस डिटर्मिनेसन अन्डर द मोनोपोली मार्केटले डिस्क्राइब गर्छ, तर चाहिँ दे वुड डेफिनेटली गेट अ लेसर प्राइस. अनि नेक्स्ट वान इज लाइक, फर्म मस्ट हेभ एन एबिलिटी टु प्रोटेक्ट इट्स प्रडक्ट. हामीले चाहिँ मैले बेचेको सामान चाहिँ फेरि त्यो मैले जसले मसँग किनेर लिएर गयो उसले फेरि अर्कोलाई चाहिँ नबेच्ने कन्डिसन हुन सक्नु पर्यो, देन ओन्ली प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन्स क्यान बी एप्लाइड. सो दिज आर द थ्री इम्पोर्टेन्ट conditions that needs to be fulfilled, then only we see that price discriminations can be operated. Okay, so अब यति भनिरहँदाखेरि lot of questions is coming up in your mind, I know that. अब के हुन सक्दो रहेछ, यस्तो पनि प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन रहेछ. मैले चाहिँ जस्तै बसको टिकटमा गएर चाहिँ प्लेनको टिकटमा मैले चितवनदेखि चाहिँ काठमाडौँ ट्राभल गरेको थिएँ, आई ओन्ली पे 2400, तर मसँग साइडमा बस्ने साथीले चाहिँ उसले चाहिँ कति तिर्यो, 3400 तिर्यो. That is price discrimination. Now try to come up with those practical examples that you have already faced with. Then it will be like, a good examples of price discrimination. And next one would be like, India ma we know that ration card दिएर हुन्छ नि गरिबहरुलाई. यदि गरिबलाई चाहिँ त्यो रासन कार्ड द्याट इज अल्सो अ फर्म अफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन ओके नदियो भने के हुन्छ त्यो गरिबले चाहिँ त्यो क्याटेगोरी अफ गुड्स चाहिँ कहिले खानै नपाउने भयो त when they cannot consume that commodities then how can that government okay be success okay that would be a big questions to a government also so at that time there is the provision of the ration card and that ration card provisions is also called rationing and that is also an economic strategy okay I already told you that is an economic tools in order to protect the poor consumers and then when they take that ration card to the shop and then showing that ration card to the shop they would get the same goods and services फेरि ration card देखाएकोले चाहिँ फेरि अर्को चाहिँ लो ग्रेडको सामान दिने होइन same grade or the same goods of the same goods and services of the same quality is offered to that person who is holding ration card ल्याएको रहेछ ओके सस्तो खालको दि नो that is not the case okay so ration card is also the provision of ration card is also somewhat kind of the price discrimination so kinds of discriminations it could be according to the income or the purchasing power of the buyers so based on the incomes and purchasing power of the buyers we can have the price discrimination okay cost of goods according to the status of the people richer or the poor can be a ration card it can be perfectly fit here okay so next category would be like according to the location of the purchaser example higher price may be charged at home and lower prices in a foreign market dumping I told you that okay let's assume that okay this year the paddy production is going to be increased by 4 folds in case of Nepal so if the domestic consumptions or the domestic demand would be only let's say half of that then the remaining half of that could be sold into the newer market or sold into the foreign market at lower prices this is also a form of price discriminations because we have discriminated okay the consumers who are located in the domestic market is being charged more but the consumers who are being located in the abroad or the foreign countries is being charged less this is also a form of price discriminations and the next terminology is given to this form of price discriminations is called dumping okay cardamom let's say cardamom per kilo in Nepal is 1,000 rupees per kilo and in case when it goes to Bangladesh it is like 800 see you might be furious by having knowing this status okay हामी घरमै भएको मान्छेलाई चाहिँ घरकै मान्छेलाई चाहिँ 1000 लिने झन् बाहिरकोलाई चाहिँ 800 मात्रै लिने यस्तो भयो भने चाहिँ you might be furious but there are also some reasons why are we practicing the dumping so if we want to capture the new market if I want to capture the if you have more production and then if you don't have the market access okay अब बेसी ठाउँ छैन भने अब के गर्ने त नयाँ मार्केट क्याप्चर गर्नलाई के पनि गर्न पर्ने भयो त बरु घटाएर बेच्ने तर नयाँ मार्केट क्याप्चर गर्ने स्ट्र्याटेजीमा पनि जान पर्यो so this is one strategy okay बङ्गलादेशको मार्केटमा entirely यो चाहिँ मेरो यो गुड्सले चाहिँ म क्याप्चर गर्छु भने you have to come up with this strategy and then it might be also a good explanations to the Bangladeshi people that okay हामीले घरको हामीले domestic consumers को लागि 1000 बेचिरहेको छौं but we are offering this price to your citizens at 800 so they might be attractive obviously भइहाल्छ and then they might purchase more from here it means that our international trade will be there so यसले चाहिँ कता कतासम्म हिट गर्छ so the next that is the next story but the dumping's main concept is that okay lower price in the foreign market and the higher price in the domestic market this is what dumping is all about and the next kind of the price discriminations could be like according to the type or timing of the use of the products for instance timing price of the airline tickets 3 महिना अगाडि किनेको टिकट्स र 1 महिना अगाडि किनेको टिकट सेम फ्लाइट र सेम सिट्स है इकोनोमिक क्लासको लागि र आज किनेको टिकट्स र भोलि फ्लाइ गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ एकछिन अगाडि किनेको टिकटमा चाहिँ देयर विल बी द भेरिएसन इन द प्राइसेस this is price discrimination and same happens in case of the railway ticket also same happens in case of the electricity bill for home consumption electricity bill for the industrial consumption and electricity bill for the agricultural uses in Nepal नेपालमा पनि छ है घरको लागि चाहिँ युज हुने इलेक्ट्रिसिटीको चाहिँ बिलमा चाहिँ 15 रुपैयाँ तिर्नुपर्छ भने इन्डस्ट्रीको लागि चाहिँ मानव 10 रुपैयाँ तिर्नुपर्छ भने एग्रिकल्चरल युजको लागि चाहिँ जम्मा 7-8 रुपैयाँ तिरे हुन्छ दिस इज अल्सो प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन घरमा चाहिँ युज गर्नेको लागि चाहिँ प्राइस घरको लागि युज गर्ने कस्टमर्स र एग्रिकल्चरल पर्पजको लागि चाहिँ युज गर्ने कस्टमर्सको बिचमा चाहिँ इफ वी कम्पेयर बिट्विन देम देयर इज द डिस्क्रिमिनेसन बिट्विन द प्राइसेस एमङ दोज कन्ज्युमर्स So there are already plenty of examples of price discriminations that is happening around us. Now, in the meantime, if you come up with some other examples of this price discriminations that you have seen or that you have already faced, then you can come up. Okay, त्यस्तो केही भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ भन्न मन लाग्यो भने you can share the idea with us. Okay. Okay. Now we are into the degree of price discriminations. What is this degree of price discriminations? Basically, price discriminations can be viewed from the three different degrees: the first degree, the second degree, and the third degree. So, first degree of price discriminations is looking or charging the different prices from different aspects, and second degree of price discrimination is charging the price of the same goods and services from different aspects. And the third degree of price discrimination is charging the price of the same goods and services from the different aspect. So we will see what are those aspects that normally falls under the first degree, the second degree, and the third degree one by one. And we will see also what happens when there is price discriminations, and then what happens to the consumer surplus. Okay. In order to understand this, you need to have the solid understanding on the equilibrium price determination in case of the monopoly market. Okay, in a monopoly market, because we have been saying that okay, price discrimination is possible only in case of the monopoly market. It cannot be possible in case of the perfect competition market. So in case of the monopoly market, what happens to your demand curve? Your demand curve will be your average revenue curve. Go with the concept, okay? Go with the concept of that, the concept of the, every curve that falls under the monopoly market, monopolistic competition, and perfect competition market. So in your monopoly market, your demand curve will be average revenue, and there will also be the next curve that is called marginal revenue. Marginal revenue curve will be there, and we know that average revenue curve is away from the origin, and marginal revenue curve is, it's nearer to the origin. Okay, there are some explanations on the first semester's economics, so go with that again. Okay. So I have graph, but I'm not going to have that in more detail about the explanations of the graph that we studied in the first semester, because I will only take a lot of time to that new topic which you have not studied. Okay, this is how I normally move on. As already told, first degree, second degree, and the third degree. Now we will see what are the aspects, okay, that the seller is implementing the first degree of price discrimination. In fact, we will see what is first degree of price discrimination first, and we will try to define second degree and third degree and so on. Okay, so first degree of price discriminations, it's like, here the seller is charging the price of the goods and services to any consumers based on their willingness to pay. Willingness to pay means तिर्नको लागि कति इच्छा छ त्यो अनुसारले चाहिँ बेच्ने मान्छेले चाहिँ किन्ने मान्छेले चाहिँ त्यही प्राइस चार्ज गर्ने. मानौ कुनै कमोडिटी, if I am able to pay or willing to pay 1000 rupees, then 1000 rupees will be the price of that goods and services that is being charged by the sellers. Or if my willingness to pay is only 500, then that 500 rupees will be the price that will be charged by the sellers for me. Or now question might be coming in your mind that okay, मेरो willingness to pay त कति पनि छैन. ओके, भनेको चाहिँ फ्रीमा पाइदिए हुन्थ्यो अथवा चाहिँ 1 रुपैयाँ मात्र थियो. अब मैले 1 रुपैयाँ चाहिँ willingness to pay चाहिँ मेरो छ भन्दैमा चाहिँ मलाई के सेलर्सले चाहिँ 1 रुपैयाँमा मलाई त्यो कमोडिटी दिन्छ त? Obviously दिदैन. So that's why this is impractical degree of the price discriminations. This is not practical in our daily life. Okay, so monopolist is supposed to know the maximum amount of money each consumer will pay for the product. मैले चाहिँ एउटा टिकटको लागि चाहिँ कति तिर्न सक्छु, मेरो म्याक्सिमम तिर्न सक्ने मेरो क्यापेबिलिटी कति छ? जस्तै मानौ $1000 तिर्न सक्ने मेरो क्यापेबिलिटी छ भने $1000 will be the price of that tickets that will be charged by the airline company to me. तर चाहिँ if I approach to the airline company and then say that $500 मात्रै चाहिँ मेरो willingness to pay छ, मलाई $500 मा टिकट देऊ न भन्नु चाहिँ यो फर्स्ट डिग्री अफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन के भन्नुपर्छ भने के हुनुपर्छ भने $500 will be your price of the tickets, but in fact your monopolist won't do that. Okay, so they are not moving with the emotions of the consumers. They are solely moving with their business model. So according to the willingness to pay, the sellers will set the price accordingly. And then what happens? See here, what happens to the consumer surplus in first degree of price discrimination? Imagine if even if this is impractical in nature, imagine that first degree of price discrimination is existing. So what happens to the consumer surplus, your entire consumer surplus will be wiped out. There will be no consumer surplus. Consumer surplus will be zero, okay, and the area of those consumer surplus will be now taken as a revenue or the benefit by that monopolist. के भनिरहेको छौँ, फर्स्ट डिग्री अफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन चाहिँ कन्ज्युमरले तिर्न खोजेको अथवा चाहिँ तिर्न सक्ने क्यापेबिलिटी कति छ, जति छ त्यति नै चाहिँ प्राइस हो त्यो कमोडिटीको भनेर चाहिँ मानेको छ। तर रियालिटीमा चाहिँ त्यो हुँदैन। जस्तै चाहिँ मैले 100 रुपियाँको टिकट चाहिँ मैले 50 रुपियाँमा लिनको लागि चाहिँ मेरो विलिङ टु पे हो भने के हुन्छ त, नो वान इज गोइङ टु गिभ यु एट 50 रुपियाँ टिकट, ओके, दिँदैन। द्याट्स वाइ दिस इज जस्ट एन इमेजिनेसन अर इम्प्र्याक्टिकल फर्स्ट डिग्री अफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन्स। अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ यो भइरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ मानौ ल यो हुँदैन, प्र्याक्टिकलमा हुँदैन भनेर मानौ, तर यदि भएको कन्डिसनमा चाहिँ वाट ह्यापन्स टु यर कन्ज्युमर सर्प्लस? यर कन्ज्युमर सर्प्लस विल बी जिरो। We will see the case where there is no price discrimination in a graph. I will show that in a minute, and then we will see the case where price discrimination is there and what happens to our consumer surplus. Okay, I will show that in a graph. Example के हुन सक्छ एउटा चाहिँ doctor is charging the ticket for their customers according to the income status. Okay, तपाईको income status 1 लाख रुपैयाँ हो, तपाईको चाहिँ 1000 रुपैयाँ टिकट, तपाईको कति हो 20000, तपाईलाई 200 रुपैयाँ। No one is going to do that. Even if every, whatever the income status of the consumer is, when we go to see a doctors, okay, they would charge us 500 rupees. सबैलाई थाहा भएको कुरा हो। Okay, so doctor won't be saying that, okay, तपाईँ गरिब देखिन्छ, okay, तपाईलाई फ्री, okay, 100 रुपैयाँ, no, not at all. So that's why this is impractical one. So let's see from the graphical approach, okay. मेरो स्लाइड ठुलो आएको छ कि सानो आएको छ? ठुलो छ कि सानो छ?
सानो छ सर।
ओके, म म्याक्सिमाइज गर्छु एकचोटि है। सायद यो गुगल मिटमा हुँदैन, तर चाहिँ जुममा चाहिँ यसले सबै स्लाइडहरु म्याक्सिमम स्लाइड्स प्रेजेन्टेसन मोडमा लिँदाखेरि पनि लिन्छ, तर गुगल मिटमा चाहिँ जाँदै जाँदैन रहेछ किन हो। बट try to go that in a full mode, okay. मेरो स्क्रिन चाहिँ it's in a full mode, but I don't know whether your screen is in a full mode or not. Even if it is not in a full mode, just try to zoom your screen and then see. Okay, we are in price discrimination is always operated in the monopoly. We know that. Okay, so in monopoly we know that our demand curve is average revenue curve. D is equal to your average revenue and it is negatively sloped. We know that. If you don't know, go to your first semester course, okay, again. And now imagine that, okay, and you take any point at B. Okay, your horizontal axis is your output axis and your vertical axis is your average revenue axis or a price axis, and let any point B lie in your demand curve. Okay, price discrimination no condition ma hai. At that time, what would be your amount of output you produce and what would be the price of output per unit? The amount of output at B point will be OM. We know that OM will be the output at point B, and at point B our price of that output will be how much? It's OP. So it's like, there is one rectangle here. Okay, OP, B and M is one rectangle here. Since OP is your length and your OM is your breadth, now opposite sides of the rectangle are always equal, and we know that the area of this rectangle is L into B. It means that area of this OPBM is OP multiplied by OM. When we go there, then we get the entire area of this rectangle. It is what? This is the revenue. This would be the revenue that monopolist would get when there is no price discrimination. Price discrimination हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ OPBM would be the revenue that would be achieved by the monopolist. Okay, now let's say when there is price discrimination, अब price discrimination सुरु भयो भनेपछि के भयो त, त्यही सेम गुड्स को चाहिँ प्राइस चाहिँ पहिला OP थियो भने now it is OA चाहिँ हायर प्राइसेस भयो. This is what price discrimination is. Okay, सेम गुड्स एन्ड सर्भिसेसलाई चाहिँ डिफरेन्ट प्राइसेस चार्ज गर्ने. यहाँ चाहिँ अब हामीले के गर्दा पहिला चाहिँ ओपी मात्र चार्ज गरेको भने नाउ चाहिँ प्राइस डिस्ट्रिब्युसन भएपछि कुनै पनि कस्टमर्सहरुको लागि चाहिँ ओए चार्ज गरिएको छ र ओ बी पोइन्टमा चाहिँ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन नहुँदाखेरि चाहिँ यो कन्ज्युमर सरप्लस वाज हाउ मच? वी नो दैट कन्ज्युमर सरप्लस इज द एरिया बिलो योर डिमान्ड कर्व एन्ड एरिया अबव योर इक्विलिब्रियम लाइन. This area APB triangle, right angle triangle APB is going to be a consumer surplus. यदि प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन नभएको केसमा चाहिँ. So when price discrimination is there, now let's say your price is increased to A. Okay, kune category of consumer now needs to be A. Okay, so what happens? A monopolist would charge consumers that they are willing to pay. Okay, they are willing to pay OA, and it means that okay, this is the price that will be charged to that any consumers for any goods and services. So at that time what happens? अब चाहिँ पहिलाको चाहिँ कन्ज्युमर सरप्लसको एरिया चाहिँ जुन प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन नगर्दाखेरिको चाहिँ एपीबी एरिया थियो नि, नाउ द्याट एपीबी विल बी that was CS before, now it will be completely transformed to the revenue. अब यो revenue बनिन्छ, consumer surplus चाहिँ 0 हुन्छ. Now consumer surplus will be 0 and your what happens, your revenue will be increased. First, before price discrimination your revenue was OPPM. Now after your price discrimination implementation, now your revenue would be addition of APP, right angle triangle. So altogether now your revenue after price discriminations will be how much? Your ABMO, the area under ABMO. This is quadrilateral, okay? ABMO is a quadrilateral, and all the area of quadrilateral ABMO will be the total revenue of that monopolist. Okay, so what would be the advantages to the monopolist after the implementation or the application of the price discrimination? Price discrimination नगर्दाखेरि चाहिँ उसको रेभेन्यू चाहिँ पहिला रेक्टेंगल एरिया बराबर थियो, अब गरिसकेपछि what happens, उसको रेभेन्यू चाहिँ बढ्ने भयो. नाउ कतिले बढ्ने भयो त, जति एमाउन्ट चाहिँ पहिला उसको कन्ज्युमर सरप्लस चाहिँ पहिला प्राइस डिस्ट्रिब्युसन नगर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कन्ज्युमरको सरप्लस हुन्थ्यो, त्यति नै एमाउन्टले चाहिँ उसको रेभेन्यू चाहिँ बढ्ने भयो. That is APB here. And what is monopolist doing here is that okay, after the implementation of the price discriminations, monopolist is not giving any opportunity to the consumers to have the surpluses. Okay, so it means that के भन्न खोजेको भने कन्ज्युमर सरप्लस चाहिँ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन भएपछि चाहिँ कति पनि हुँदैन भनेको चाहिँ entire area of the consumer surplus APB is transferred to or is added as a total revenue. This is what your first degree of price discrimination is. For example, in case again, okay, okay, ठीक है समझ? Okay, ठीक है. Now second degree of price discriminations. Now let's move on to the second degree of price. What is second degree? Now what is happening here? Okay, so willingness to pay को आधारमा चाहिँ यदि price discriminations गर्ने हो भने that is your first degree. Now what happens here? It's like monopolist sets different prices for different customers depending upon their choices. According to their choices, now the sellers will charge the different prices to the buyers. कस्तो choicesहरु हुन्छ त? Let's see. अब जस्तो मानौ choicesहरु हाम्रो घरमै एक्जाम्पल हेर्ने हो भने बत्तीको बिलमा चाहिँ हामीले जस्तै 20 युनिट सम्म चाहिँ कन्जम्सन गर्यो भने हाम्रो चाहिँ एउटा रेट छ. That is one choice given to you by the Nepal Electricity Authority. अब 20 भन्दा चाहिँ बेसी गयो भने चाहिँ तिमीहरुको चाहिँ 20 देखि 30 सम्म गयो भने चाहिँ फेरि नेक्स्ट पर युनिट प्राइस पर युनिट लागू हुन्छ. त्यसै गरेर चाहिँ डिफरेन्ट क्याटेगोरीमा चाहिँ जम्प गइरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ व्हाट ह्यापन्स, the choice is given to us by the Nepal Electricity Authority. Okay, यो क्याटेगोरीमा पर्नुभयो भने तपाईले चाहिँ 1 युनिट यति तिरे पुग्छ, यो क्याटेगोरीमा तपाईको युनिट चाहिँ 21 देखि माथि चढ्यो भने चाहिँ यो चाहिँ तिर्न पर्छ, उति तिर्न पर्छ भनेर भनेको छ नि. This is also the price discrimination, but this is the second degree of price discrimination. अनि यहाँ के भएको छ, फर्स्ट डिग्रीमा चाहिँ हाम्रो विलिङनेस टु पे, मलाई चाहिँ कति तिर्न मन लाग्छ त्यसको हिसाबमा चाहिँ प्राइस निर्धारण हुन्थ्यो भने अब यहाँ चाहिँ कसरी हुने भयो त, म चाहिँ कुन क्याटेगोरीमा चाहिँ म पर्न चाहन्छु, it is up to my choices. Okay, so here my choices is given to me. अर्को एक्जाम्पल मैले यहाँ राखेको छु, loyalty cards reward for frequent buyers with discount on the future product. If you are a regular visitor of the Bhatpati name, there is a membership card. मेम्बरशिप कार्ड चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ कति स्कोर गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ उनीहरूले सर्टेन टाइम पछि चाहिँ डिस्काउन्ट दिन्छ, के अफरहरु दिएर हुन्छ है, त्यस्तो खालको मेम्बरशिप लिने स्टुडेन्ट कस्टमर्सलाई. अनि जब चाहिँ फेरि त्यस्तो मेम्बरशिप नलिएको कस्टमर्सलाई चाहिँ दे आर नट गिभिङ दैट अपर्चुनिटी. दिस इज अल्सो द प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन, but this is the second degree of price discrimination. अघिको चाहिँ फर्स्ट डिग्री अफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन चाहिँ विलिङनेस टु पे को आधारमा चाहिँ प्राइस डिटरमाइन हुन्छ भनेपछि कतिले के लागिरहेको होला भने इज इट पोसिबल, यो चाहिँ प्र्याक्टिकल, यो चाहिँ प्र्याक्टिकल, यो चाहिँ के यो एडप्ट गर्न सकिन्छ, यो प्र्याक्टिकली चाहिँ यो रियालिटीमा हुन्छ त. दिस इज इम्प्र्याक्टिकल. even if this we are studying here, this is not practical in our daily life. Okay, so डक्टरले चाहिँ गरिब आएर चाहिँ ओके तपाईलाई चाहिँ 100 रुपैयाँ टिकट, तपाईलाई चाहिँ धनी आउनु पर्छ, ओ तपाईको त सुट प्यान्ट लाएर आउनु भएछ, 20,000 is for your tickets. No, this is not practical. The practical is कति हो त practical चाहिँ डक्टरको फी 500 रुपैयाँ हो. That is practical. But in case of the second degree मा के छ त second degree मा चाहिँ this is practical. अनि यो चाहिँ this second degree of price discrimination is practically applicable already. हामीले घरको इलेक्ट्रिसिटीमा मैले भनिसकेँ this is already applicable in our home. ओके अरू मेम्बरशिप कार्ड लिँदाखेरि अथवा चाहिँ रेगुलर भिजिटर्सहरूलाई चाहिँ स्पेशल प्रिभिलेजहरू दिने हो कि bronze tickets and silver tickets and golden tickets के हुन्छ नि हो त्यस्तोको चाहिँ that is the second degree of the price discrimination. Let me show you the graph of the second degree of price discriminations, and this is again the demand curve in your monopoly market. This is D is equal to AR, and the average revenue or the price is given in vertical axis. मेरो cursor follow गर्ने है, and your output is given in your horizontal axis. So 3 points are given to you here, A, B and C. यसले के भनेको छ भने यो डिमान्ड कर्भमा चाहिँ मानौ A, B and C are the 3 points. किन तीनटा पोइन्ट लिएको भनेर कसैले क्वेशन गर्यो भने चाहिँ दुईटा मात्रै लिन पाइन्छ, चारवटा लिन पनि पाइन्छ. ओके नो एनी हार्ड एन्ड फास्ट रुल. किन तीनटा लिएको त तीनटाबाट चाहिँ एक्सप्लेन गर्न चाहिँ अलिकति हामीले चाहिँ फर द सेक अफ सिम्प्लिसिटी वी हेभ टेकन फ्री हियर. ओके सो नाउ सी हियर इन A भन्ने पोइन्टमा कति छ त the amount of the output produced is OM1, and at point A the price is how much? OP1. This one is our price. In case of the point B, your OM2 is the output and OP2 is your price for that OM2 output. And in case of point C, your OM1 is the output for point C, and at that time for OM3 output your price would be OP3. This is how we explain the graph. यहाँसम्म ठीक छ है. Now imagine the situations that okay C is the point where we have been operating before price discriminations. मानौ C लाई चाहिँ हामीले रिफरेन्स लिएर चाहिँ एक्सप्लेन गरौँ कि हामीले चाहिँ C भन्ने पोइन्टमा हामी अपरेट गरिरहेका छौँ र यो पोइन्टमा चाहिँ हाम्रो प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन छैन मानौ है. What would be the total revenue that would be obtained by the monopolist here? अब चाहिँ C मा अपरेट गरिरहेका छौँ. C मा अपरेट गर्ने भनेको चाहिँ OEM1 क्याटेगोरी चाहिँ हामीले आउटपुट निकालिरहेका छौँ र चाहिँ त्यसको चाहिँ कति छ त प्राइस OP1 छ. यहाँ पनि रेक्टेंगल बन्यो OP1 C अनि M3. This rectangle इसको entire area नै यो चाहिँ कति हुन्छ त total revenue obtained by that monopolist. How would we get that total area for this triangle? Length into breadth. Okay, this is our length, OM3 is the length and breadth is OP3. This is how we get our entire area. So this entire area, the value of the entire area would give you the total revenue that would be obtained by the monopolist. अब मानौ अब प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन चाहिँ अब इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन भयो सेकेन्ड डिग्री. अब भनेपछि प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन हुने बित्तिकै त पहिला C चाहिँ OP3 मा चाहिँ प्राइस चाहिँ हाम्रो अपरेट गरिरहेको थियो भने अब चाहिँ हायर चार्जेसहरु तिर्नु पर्यो. अब B भन्ने पोइन्टमा चाहिँ व्हाट ह्यापन्स, अब जस्तै C पोइन्टमा हेरौँ what is happening here. अब हाम्रो C पोइन्टमा चाहिँ हामी हेरिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो this AP3 र C भन्ने चाहिँ bigger right angle triangle is our entire consumer surplus. This is our entire consumer surplus here, right? So now what happens when we move on to the B2? See B2 मा मुभ गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ के भयो त प्राइस चाहिँ बढ्यो. We are doing the price discrimination here. अनि OM2 is the output here. See output is decreased. Okay, so what is happening to the right angle triangle now? Before it was this area, now moving towards B point, now it is this one. So कतिले घट्यो त यति अमाउन्टले चाहिँ घट्यो. यति अमाउन्टले घटे पनि यहाँनिर चाहिँ के हुन्छ this triangle small triangle will be deadweight loss here. जुन हामीले अगाडि हेरेको थियौं this is deadweight loss here. हामीले चाहिँ यहाँ deadweight loss अलिकति awkward किन लागेको भने सप्लाई कर्भ नदिएको भएर चाहिँ deadweight loss कस्तो कस्तो लागेको मात्रै हो, तर this is our deadweight loss. अनि this यो smaller rectangle is our what is happening? पहिलाको कन्ज्युमर सर्प्लसको एरिया चाहिँ घटेर चाहिँ अब त्यो केमा जोडियो त अब रेभेन्यूमा जोडियो, मोनोपोलिस्टको रेभेन्यू. सी व्हाट इज ह्यापनिङ, अब प्राइस चाहिँ उसले बनाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ रेभेन्यू अझै बढायो. क्वान्टिटी घटे पनि प्राइस बढाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ क्वान्टिटी आउटपुट घटे पनि चाहिँ ओभरअलमा चाहिँ रेभेन्यू कलेक्सन हेर्ने हो भने चाहिँ द्याट वुड बी मोर देन बिफोर. दिस इज द सेकेन्ड डिग्री अफ योर प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन. अब त्यस्तै गरेर चाहिँ नाउ इफ वी फर्दर मुभ अन टु ए पोइन्ट raising our price to OP1, and this will decrease our output OM1. And at that time, what is happening? Your rectangle is now A, P1 and A is your next rectangle formed, and now this is your consumer surplus. And अगाडिको point देखिको यो area चाहिँ फेरि के भयो त, this माथिको rectangle is your revenue and this one is again your deadweight loss. Okay, this is again your deadweight loss. So here this upper small triangle is your consumer surplus when we move to the point A. अनि त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ हाम्रो डेबिट लस इज यो त्यसपछिको स्मल ट्रायंगल र त्यसपछिको यो स्मल ट्रायंगल. And this rectangle box inside this are your revenue added to your monopolies. Okay, this is what the second degree of price discriminations is explaining to you. अब यहाँ के भएको छ, consumer surplus in case of the first degree was 0, but consumer surplus in case of the second degree will never be 0, but it will be reduced than before. This is what second degree of price discriminations is all about. And I'm done with the lecture for today. Okay, we will be looking into the third degree of price discriminations tomorrow, and for that I want you to see the equilibrium price determinations in case of the monopoly market. Turn to your first semester, right? And त्यहाँ गएर आउने भोलि चाहिँ म त्यसको एक्सप्लेन गर्छु. Any questions? Srishti, any question?
Sorry.
Ajun.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So, like, we see the price of this store. This meat and meat is more expensive completely, right? As compared to green vegetables. Whereas we see the price of this meat is quite cheap compared to green vegetables in foreign countries. So, is that also an example of dumping, or is it just the price people are coming in different countries?
That could also be the example of price dumping. Okay, so let me give you a practical example. When I was in Germany, okay, doing my masters, okay, I was quite astonished to see that, okay, the price of the chicken, the whole chicken, okay, not like 1 kilo or 2 kilos, the price of the whole chicken excluding the legs and the heads, it used to cost only 1 to 2 euros. Okay, and when we go and the the commodities, chicken would be imported from the Spain or some other countries. Okay, so I would also have perceived that as a case of the dumping. So that's why being in Germany and then consuming the commodities of Spain or some New Zealand, okay, the sheep, the meat of the sheep, okay, was also available there, and it was in a cheaper price. Okay, so that is also the example of dumping or the examples of the price discriminations, because being in Germany and then consuming the commodities from the other countries at a cheaper price than the consumers that they are purchasing in their own countries. Okay, so that's why this could be the examples of price discrimination also, and then other one it could be like also I might say that is an example of price discriminations for now, but to answer your questions precisely, I need to check with the other other aspects also. Okay. Who was that? I don't know. I didn't see the name. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's
Black marketing? How? Yeah, that would be also a case of, yeah, that's true. That would be also a case of price discriminations according to our price discriminations. But what can you say is that we say that our price discriminations activities is not an illegal act, but our black market is entirely illegal. Okay, that is formed by the shortages of the product. That black market is like the artificial shortages, but not due to the natural shortages, but due to the artificial shortages. But in case of this price discriminations, we see that. Okay, so one might say that, okay, it is illegal. Okay, स्टुडेन्टले चाहिँ 50 रुपियाँमा मात्र टिकट दिने, मलाई चाहिँ 100 रुपियाँ चार्ज गर्ने, this is illegal act. So why are people not going to the court and filing case against this? But if we see, when we are charged, okay, 100 rupees for one goods, let's say packet of biscuits for me, and then if the same packet of biscuits is offered to Srishti at 50 rupees, then that is a kind of black market. Okay, then at that time I would say that, okay, that black market is the different scenario. Okay, from that aspect also we could say to some extent that is also an example of price discrimination, but price discrimination is a legal act, but your black market is not illegal. Okay.
yeah, that's what obviously black market is illegal, but somehow you say like price discrimination is illegal.
when we see from definitions of the price discriminations, then that would explain that market is also a form of price discrimination. Okay, but we will not consider that black marketing as a price discriminations here. Okay, because we are only looking into some legal acts, and we are not interested in the illegal acts. If we want to discuss this topic more strictly, okay, I would rather request you to see some additional explanations on this on your own, and then come up with some additional explanations tomorrow. Okay, Sushi? Okay, that would be really nice. And then I because I might be in the situations that I never knew that okay, black market is a discriminations or not. So that would be also like one extra new knowledge from you to me tomorrow. Okay, Sushi? Okay. Anyone else? Yeah.
Sir, suppose हामीले होइन सर्टेन एमाउन्ट सर्टेन नम्बर कन्ज्युमरलाई चाहिँ उमा बेच्ने
अलिक ठुलो बोल त तिम्रो सुन्दैन के पनि
सर हामीले सर्टेन नम्बर अफ कन्ज्युमरलाई होइन मा बेच्यौँ अरे भने अर्को सर्टेन नम्बर अफ कन्ज्युमरलाई एमा चाहिँ एकैपल्ट उ गऱ्यो भने सर बेच्यौँ भने हाम्रो उ चाहिँ कति हुन्छ रेभेन्यू चाहिँ
कस्तो तिम्रो क्वेसन एकदम सानो आयो के क्वेसनै बुझिन मैले
सर होइन हामीले एकैपटक सर्टेन नम्बर अफ कन्ज्युमरलाई चाहिँ सीमा उ गऱ्यौँ अरे होइन सर बेच्यौँ अरे भने अर्को सर्टेन नम्बर अफ कन्ज्युमरलाई चाहिँ हामीले एमा बेच्यौँ अरे एट द सेम टाइम होइन सर सपोज हाम्रो कन्ट्रीमा चाहिँ हामीले उसमा बेच्यौँ अरे एमा बेच्यौँ अरे अर्को फरेन कन्ट्रीमा चाहिँ सीमा उ गऱ्यौँ भने बेच्यौँ भने चाहिँ मतलब मोनोपोलिस्टहरूको चाहिँ उको मतलब रेभेन्यू कति हुन्छ
Okay, so you are interested to see the revenue. मैले त्यसको एक्जाम्पल त त्यसको एक्सप्लेनेसन त यो ग्राफबाट गरिन र
सर त्यो त छुट्टै उ भयो नि त सर केस भयो नि त
ओके ल सी तिमीले भनेको कुरालाई चाहिँ यो पोइन्ट ए भन्ने पोइन्ट यहाँ हटाइदियो र सी र बी भन्ने पोइन्टमा मात्रै चाहिँ हामीले दुईटा पोइन्ट बिचको रेफरेन्स लिएर चाहिँ बस्यो भने चाहिँ सी भन्ने पोइन्ट चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ जस्तै प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन नलागेको कन्डिसनमा चाहिँ हामीले कारोबार गरिरहेको चाहिँ त्यो पोइन्ट त्यो हो त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ हाम्रो रेभेन्यू कति हुन्छ त OP3CM3O हुन्छ हो किन रेक्टेंगल
हजुर सर
हो नाउ इफ वी मुभ अन टु द नेक्स्ट पोइन्ट बी एट द टाइम व्हाट इज ह्यापनिङ यो बेलामा चाहिँ हामीले प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन गयौं पहिला चाहिँ OP3 मात्रै प्राइस चार्ज गर्दा थियो अब चाहिँ OP2 चार्ज गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ डेफिनेटली वी आर चार्जिङ मोर सो तर चाहिँ फेरि मोर मात्रै चाहिँ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन होइन है फेरि लेस पनि प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन हो अब हामीले चाहिँ बी भन्ने पोइन्टलाई रिफरेन्स लियो भने चाहिँ फेरि सी भन्ने पोइन्ट चाहिँ लेसको एक्जाम्पलमा पुग्छ र ए भन्ने पोइन्टको चाहिँ फेरि हाम्रो मोरको एक्जाम्पलमा पुग्छ सो डोन्ट एभर ह्याभ इन योर माइन्ड द्याट प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन भनेको चाहिँ प्राइस मूल्य बढ्ने मात्रै हो होइन है कसैलाई घटाएर दिने पनि प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन हो अब यो सी र बी भन्ने पोइन्टमा चाहिँ अब हामीले हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ बीमा मुभ गरेर चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ P2 चार्ज गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अभियसली वी आर पेइङ कति मोर पे गर्यौं त P3 is the amount that we paid more अथवा चाहिँ त्यो पार्टिकुलर कस्टमरले चाहिँ कति अमाउन्ट पे गर्यो त P3 अमाउन्ट पे गर्यो त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ अब पहिला चाहिँ रेभेन्यू कति थियो त OP3CM3 थियो भने अब चाहिँ हाम्रो के हुन्छ मैले अघि भनिसके यो ठुलो रेक्टेंगल इज योर कन्ज्युमर सर्भिस अब चाहिँ पोइन्ट बी मा मुभ गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ नाउ योर कन्ज्युमर सर्भिस विल बी रिड्युस्ड टु द नेक्स्ट रेक्टेंगल दैट इज AP2B त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ अब यो तलतिरपट्टि घटेको यति एरिया चाहिँ के हुन्छ त भनेर भन्दाखेरि अहिले मैले भनिसकेको थिएँ यो बी र सी बीचको पोइन्टमा बनेको चाहिँ यो रेक्टेंगल छ नि यो स्लोप विल बी यो डेड वेट लस अनि त्यसपछि यो रेक्टेंगल दुईटा रेक्टेंगल विल बी योर एडेड एज अ रेभेन्यू दिस विल बी द एडिशनल रेभेन्यू दैट मोनोपोलिस्ट वुड गेट पहिला चाहिँ यति पाइरहेको थियो अब चाहिँ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेसन गरिसकेपछि अब यो एरिया पनि उसको चाहिँ एडिशनल रेभेन्यूमा जोइन हुन्छ ओके
ओके सर
सायद यही थियो तिम्रो क्वेसन चाहिँ मैले अघि भनिसकेको थिएँ
हजुर सर धन्यवाद सर थ्यांक यू सर
ओके
यस सर
या Thank you so much. We will see the third degree of price discriminations tomorrow at 11:15 again. Thank you all.